welcome back. This video is going to be all about how I quit my job and everything that happened regarding my job. Do excuse the setup a bit. The sun's a bit funny at the moment in Scotland with it being our summer, so there's actually a window behind me and it is bright outside, but it's really terrible for the lighting. You can't see my face properly, so this is really the only way I've managed to get it so that you can actually see me and there's no glare on my screen. I am still working on the best place to video and film and stuff like that, so just bear with me on that front, but instead you've got my lovely blind as my background. So yeah, as you can see from my previous videos, I've kind of come back a bit into vlogging, and I thought one of the most important videos and would be, and really, you know, to kind of set everything back off again in motion, is an update on my current job situation. So if you have a look back at any of my videos, you'll tell that like probably over a year ago now, I had a bit of a mental health crisis, and part and due to that was because of my job. I had been with my role for about 6-7 years. I had really enjoyed my job, but I had noticed that after my first child, things started to go downhill, and I was in a situation that I didn't like at all, and it really messed with my mental health. And when, especially, I was pregnant with my second child at the time, and I kind of ended up finishing up with my work early, not really knowing what to do. So during my maternity, I didn't hear from my work at all. In the UK, you know, we're really lucky with our maternity leave. You can take, in theory, up to a full year, and depending on your role and how long you've been with the job, at various courses of that year, your pay fluctuates. So it could, in my case, it was the first 3 months full pay, the second 3 months, the second 3 months up to, 6 months was half, up to 9 months was less than that, and then the last 3 months, you could still take it as maternity, but it would be completely unpaid. And I decided, I had taken the year with my first child, and I had already decided when I fell pregnant with my second, I would want to take a year again. Just for my own personal circumstances. That was before anything had kicked off. That was, I got a lot out of the year with my first child, and I wanted the same again. And we're really lucky that I was in that situation. I know a lot of people around the world don't necessarily have that, and have to go back to work a lot quicker. Obviously, by the time I got to my maternity leave, things had deteriorated with my job. During maternity leave, your job will get in contact with you. You can get back in contact with your job, and you kind of go back and forth, really. So that the idea is that by the time you go back to work, you're kind of back in your stride a little bit with it, and you're not completely removed from the workplace. It just makes jumping back into work a little bit easier. And during my first maternity leave, I had this, and this was during the pandemic. So my work was moving from an office to completely remote. Lots of things were going on, but my manager and I had a really good rapport with one another, and every couple of months she would just check in with me, a quick message to see how I was doing, or a phone call, give me an update on the job and kind of the expectations that were going on, and the things that I could do when I came back to work. We just went back and forth, and she wanted pictures and everything like that. My second maternity leave was completely different, and I don't know, it could have been obviously by that point the deterioration with myself and my job. They didn't want to kind of seem like they were pushing me in any way by getting in contact with me much, but I actually heard nothing at all. There was no forms of communication. I got one email when annual salaries came out, and in it, they had came and said, like, look, your wages are going up by 1%. This was because of the cost of living crisis that had, completely bloomed. Inflation had gone up to 10%. So, a lot of employees at this time and employers were either upping minimum wage, or they were, looking at bonuses and things like that early. And she came back and she basically said that, you know, you've got a 1% pay increase. This is after 4 years of no pay increases, so I'm going to put that out there. And I had went back and said that I'd received the email, thanked, and like, how's work? How are you getting on? Like, how is everything? And I never received anything back from that. My husband, all throughout my maternity, was like, I think you should finish up with your job. And I don't really know why. I think in my head somewhere I thought I would just go back and everything would be fine. And yeah, it didn't. And then pretty much month 11 came in, and you know, I got an email, a very sporadic email, just being like, Anna, you're coming back to work in a month. What are you doing? And that was it. That was the email in a nutshell. What are you doing? Question mark. And my plan had always, again, been right from the beginning, was after we were done having our children and setting up our home, I would go back to work part-time. Initially, I had thought that I would want to go back to work full-time, but with cost of childcare and actually how I felt after having my first child, I decided, and I discussed this with my husband, and it was something that he agreed with, I would go back to work part-time. So it was always going to be, I will go back to work part-time. But once I kind of got this email, and the fact that I'd had no communication or no contact, I was like, what am I doing? You know, what is actually going on here? What am I doing? So I had another sit-down conversation with my husband, and yes, I handed in my resignation and said that I would be finishing up with my role. Again, I'm really lucky if you decide, because obviously it can be quite common for people to finish up with their jobs at the end of maternity, because once you start to look into childcare costs, especially with kind of where we are, and especially with how much I was being paid, and the fact that my pay rate had been very stagnant for a very long time, it became very, very apparent that it's cheaper for me just to be out of the workplace completely instead of paying full-time childcare. Or if I did manage to get a full-time job that was paying even a really good wage, even more than what I wanted, it would actually just be hand in hand. I would be paying essentially paying childcare. So I was really lucky I could do that. I could finish up. There would be no repercussions on my end or on my work's end. It was a case of, right, that's it. You finished up. Last paycheck, done, dusted. That last paycheck being all the holidays I had accrued over the course of the year. And that was it. Done, dusted, and yeah. So this all happened September time, going into October. We were obviously going through our move. My husband changed jobs at this point as well. So he changed roles and went into a completely new job. So we did things by the triple. And it was quite mind-boggling. I was really, really lucky that once I handed in my resignation, I started to put feelers out for new jobs, and I was really lucky that really, really quickly I managed to secure a part-time job. Just 9 hours a week, but it's solid every week, and then sickness and holiday cover if I choose to take that. Very flexible. It's, like I say, 2 afternoons a week, so it fit in with the boys' nursery really well. It meant that they could still go to nursery 2 days a week. The rest of the week I would look after the boys. So we still had that touch in with the nursery, because we do think that nursery is really important in our household, and that's a personal opinion. You know, my husband and I we see a lot of social aspects that the boys enjoy from nursery, so we wanted to keep that, or well, our firstborn anyway, and we wanted our second child to have that opportunity as well. So that was currently the situation up until April. So April of this year, my oldest had by this point turned 3. And in Scotland, once you turn 3, you are mandatory allowed 25 hours of free childcare a week. That's whether it's with a nursery or a childminder. So he was entitled to that, so that's 2.5 days a week. And we decided to extend that to 3. So that now the situation has slightly changed, where my oldest child is in nursery 3 days a week and my youngest is in 2 days a week. And in October, he will have the opportunity to go in for 3 days. It's just at the moment, there is no room in the nurseries. The nurseries are completely saturated. And we might do that, and then the ideal be is that maybe I will take on either additional work with my current job and try and get that pushed up to 3 days, or alternatively I might have to look for another role that is 3 days, like full time. But that's in the future. So that's currently the situation that I'm in. My husband is working full time, he works remotely, so he works from home. I am working 2 afternoons a week, a Thursday and a Friday afternoon, and our kids are in nursery, one of them 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and the second one 2 days, Thursday and Friday. On top of that, when I was on my maternity, I kind of started to pick up a side hustle, which I've been doing. So I am also doing that side hustle alongside my part-time job as well. And that's pretty much like really good, but it's like a zero contract. So some weeks it's busy, some weeks it's not. And I get paid ad hoc for that. So whenever I've got work, I get paid. And when I don't have work, I don't get paid. And that's the way it's going. And that's pretty steady. In regards to that, that's picked up, and that's been really, really good as well. So we're not in a terrible situation. Obviously, when we moved house, our mortgage increased. We did stretch for our house, I won't lie. Energy crisis hit the UK. Our energy went up significantly, just in rates, and also in the fact that we had an extra room. Our home is bigger. And also as well, cost of living went up substantially. Food costs have gone up. So we have taken a big hit with that, especially as well because we have 2 extra mouths to feed. My boys, honestly, when they are going through growth spurts, you should see the volume. Like, it's very impressive to see how much they eat, but that has hit us majorly. But we are making it work. The first 2 years, I think, of moving into a new home are always the toughest. You're just trying to find your feet alone. So having those additional costs, having obviously me go from a full-time job to barely a part-time one has also taken a hit. So yeah, that is ultimately where we're currently at. So yeah, it's just crazy. I can't believe actually saying it out loud is weird. So I think the biggest thing about all this has ultimately not been the move in jobs. You know, I'm so much happier with where I am at the moment. I'm so much happier with what I'm doing. I love the fact that I get to spend so much time with my boys. Like, I'm really lucky that I'm in a position that I get to do that in an amazing home with an amazing supportive partner who himself has admitted that he's really happy with where we are. But the mental shift over to that is crazy. Like, it's been crazy, and it's probably only been the last month that I have been able to change that shift. You know, so I have always worked full-time. Well, I've always worked part-time jobs if I was in full-time education, and then I've always worked full-time jobs. I've never worked part-time. I've never taken really extended period of breaks or anything like that. I've always worked. So not only was I not really working the sort of career mentality job that I had been previously, I had cut all my hours down, and I now spend a lot more time in the house. My day isn't as structured as what it used to be. You know, it's not like I get up in the morning, go to the gym, have my breakfast, go to work, come home, have dinner, watch some TV, go to bed. You know, my day changes. Every single day is different, and every week is different. And there's a lot more short-term things that happen as well as long-term things too. And that was a massive, massive shift for me. Being in the house for large extended on my days, even if it's with the kids, made me think, I'm not doing anything, I'm not working, therefore I'm not contributing as much. You know, my pay was less than my husband's before, it's even lower now. Like, what am I contributing? And I found that really, really hard. And I found it really difficult to adjust to, that I just wasn't bringing anything to the table. And it's taken, like I say, easily a good 7-8 months myself, and actually input from friends and my brother too, to really get a very clear perspective on that. And Jim's never put any, like my husband, he's never put any pressure on me. He's never said like, you're not contributing or anything like that. He's been so supportive. It's just getting your mentality changed from a different way of supporting the family. And that way is actually just as important as a financial contribution. A way a friend put it to me, which really, really helped. She was like, right, okay, so you don't have a 9 to 5 anymore. You don't leave your work, your house anymore to go to an office to get a big pay packet at the end of your month. She's like, but what you do instead is you are a mum. You're practically, bar the hours that my kids are in childcare, you are a full-time mum. Even when they're sleeping, you are a mum. So you are a full-time mum, which in itself is a job. So you have to entertain 2 humans all day, every day, and everything that comes with that. She's like, on top of that, you then have 9 hours a week where you work an actual job. You get paid for that weekly. So that's like any other job that anyone else would do that, you know, you would be praised for. Fair enough, it's maybe not as, you know, seen as grand or, you know, ambitious as maybe what you were doing before, but you enjoy it, which is a big thing. I really like my part-time job now. It's really good. And then she was like, and then on top of that, you have a side hustle. So a side hustle that actually sometimes you're doing a full week, 9 till 5. So she was like, even if you were to make that side hustle, like average it out from when you're not busy to when you are, that is a part-time job. So you have 2 part-time jobs, which makes a full-time job. So there's your full-time job already. Tick. You're just as high up as everyone else. You are succeeding. And then she was like, and then on top of that, you're a full-time mum as well. And then on top of that, which maybe comes under your full-time mum role, because you're not doing a full-time job, you're actually picking up more of the cleaning, more of the washing, because you're spending more time at home. You know, you're tidying up after people more, you cook more. So actually all the household chores and things like that and the mundane things, appointment booking, I do all the appointment booking, the dog's grooming, dog walker, things like that. I pick all of that up. So she was like, so actually, even if you wanted to say you, because your boys go to childcare, that you were only doing a part-time job being a mum, you've then got all that additional stuff on top of it. So she was like, at minimum, scraping the barrel, she's like, you're doing 2 full-time jobs. You know, 2 part-time actual jobs out with the home, and then 2 jobs within the home that you don't get paid for. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Yeah. That's what I do. And that's not to take anything away from my husband. Like, he contributes a lot. Not just financially, he does pick up a load of chores as well. He picks up washing. That man does the bed sheets every week, which praise be, because I hate washing and making the bed. He does all that. I hate taking out the bins. He puts the bins out every week. Like, things like, he does do his fair share. Everything is proportioned in our household. It really is. And it's ours. And that's another thing about the mentality aspect as well. Even money-wise, I had to change and shift that. It's ours. The pot is ours. We have a big pot, which is our family. And both of us have as much entitlement or as much right to that pot, whether it's finances, cooking, cleaning, as the other one. So the fact that I maybe do have a bit more free time at home, in the sense of, while looking after my kids, I can go and wash the dishes, or I can go and put an extra wash on. You know, I might be picking up more proportion of maybe the cleaning, but, you know, he is restricted because as part of his job, he has to work at a computer so many hours a day, you know. In the same sense, you know, he'll pick up the bins because I don't like them, or, you know, he'll contribute as well. So it's just different ways of contributing, but ultimately it's our part. And that goes for finances too. Anything we bring in, it's all of ours. Like, this is our home. It's in both of our houses. Therefore, both of us need to pay for it, and the money that goes into it is both of ours in return. And that's been, I hope that makes sense, because it sounds, I'm still getting my head around that different way, that different mentality. And that's been massive for me. But it's been really good. And like I say, the last month, you know, I've started to get into my stride with it. And fundamentally, I say it's been really good, it's been really tough and changing. It's more just guilt, and it's societal guilt, because we are told that we should have a 9 to 5 while being a full-time parent, while, you know, doing extra curriculum for our kids, while also socializing and entertaining our friends, while also going to the gym and keeping healthy. We're told we should do all of that, and we should be doing it without complaint, and we should be perfect at it. Actually, it's different. I've got a dog barking. The area that we live in is full of dogs, and while it's really, really good at points, it's too much. See? And that's another thing. That's the unexpected in my life that keeps happening. So you never know. So that shift has been crazy. Like I say, at points it's gotten me down a bit, you know. It has dragged on my mental health a bit, but at times, while it has been hard, ultimately, 99% of the time, I am a lot happier. I am so much happier. I feel like I am maybe not contributing as much financially, but emotionally I'm contributing more, because I am my better self at the moment. I think as well, my perspective after having my boys had changed. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I really thought that I would have kids, go back to work, that would be it. And that works for lots of people, and that's great, because everyone is individual. But my perspective changed in the sense of I wasn't as well, like, job ambitious as I was before, you know. Suddenly moving up the job totem pole wasn't as important to me, you know. I used to have a drive to do it, and I used to get antsy being in the same position. That shifted when I became a mum, and that's not good or bad. It's just my my path changed, and that for me was that's probably what's taken the most to adjust to, is that mentally I have changed. You know, my goals now aren't trying to be manager, aren't trying to be a senior manager, you know, going overseas to work, you know. They're now hanging out with my children. Like I've changed, like, books on how to climb up the work ladder to books on parenting, you know. And like I say, it's not good or bad, but that's how it shifted. That ambitious part for my job diminished. And that's not a bad thing. It just went somewhere else. So that's been the biggest shift for me. And sometimes when I'm around people, it's easy to forget, because I think as a society we put so much focus on trying to climb that work ladder, on trying to get more money, on trying to be top of our company or our workplace, trying to be the best. But that's not everything. You know, there's so much more. And if I want to focus my attention on something different, that doesn't make me any less than the people I hang around with. It just means I have different focuses, and I should still be applauded for that. So that's kind of where we're at now. It's been a big shift, a big change, and it's one that's still ongoing, and it's one that's going to evolve and still change. I'll probably take on more work once both of my boys are in nursery a bit more, and then when they go on to school, I'll probably take on more work. I've always been a worker in the traditional sense of going out to an external job and working it. It's something I enjoy. But I think the roles I'm going to do in the future will certainly be different. The drive to try and beat my peers will definitely different, if not completely reduced. And that's okay. And I want to teach that that's okay too. I want people to know it's all right. Fundamentally, all the jobs we do are important. Yes, there are some that are seen as maybe a bit higher. You know, if you save a life, for example, that is certainly different from maybe being on reception and greeting people when they come into a hotel. But it doesn't mean they're any less valid. You still need both people. So I really think this classist, you are better because of the job that you do, is complete BS. That's what 2 years has taught me. It's a bit of BS, to be honest. I'm not taking away from anyone and the hard work that's put into some careers. I'm really not. I just think there needs to be a bit more forgiveness for those who don't choose to go down those paths or strive for those paths. So that's everything for this video. It's a long video, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go in a bit more probably in some upcoming videos regarding how this has forced our goals to change. Our finances have definitely changed and shifted, as well as keeping up with the videos on the things, what I'm doing currently in my spare time, like foraging and gardening, because it all ties in together really. You know, we are feeling the pinch financially a bit more, which means that growing my own vegetables is good, or foraging to make jams. And now that it's coming into summer, those things are becoming a bit more prominent. So because I'm spending so much time doing them, it makes sense to do videos on them. But no, thanks for listening, and I will speak to you soon. Bye!